The sky above the planet Virine called home was dark and heavy. Thick clouds covered the sun and a cold wind blew across the barren land. The war had ended weeks ago, but the scars it left were still fresh. Buildings lay in ruins, and dust covered the ground like a gray blanket. Virine stood quietly before a small grave. The earth had been freshly moved, shaped into a gentle mound. Next to it, she placed a small toy, a bright blue sphere that once belonged to her son. She knelt down, her heart heavy with sorrow. Tears rolled silently down her cheeks. "I hope you are at peace, my little one," she whispered. "I am so sorry I could not protect you." Around her, the few survivors of her people worked to rebuild what was lost. But Virine felt alone. The world had taken her child away. Kale was gone. The enemy had taken everything in their fierce attack, and she had no choice but to flee. Her heart ached every time she thought of him. But what Virine did not know was that her son was not dead. Far beneath the ruined city, in the dark tunnels below, a human named Cole fought to stay alive. The war had brought humans to this distant planet, some as soldiers, others as rescuers. Cole was one of the few who stayed behind when the enemy attacked. He had a promise in his heart: no one would be left behind. On his back was a bundle wrapped in warm cloth. Inside, a small alien boy slept, breathing softly but weakly. Cole did not know the boy's name or where he came from. All he knew was that the child needed help. Cole's boots echoed softly on the cold metal floor as he moved through the dark corridors. The tunnels were silent except for his careful footsteps. He looked around, checking every corner for danger. The war machines that once patrolled here were quiet now, but they could still be active. He stopped at a small room hidden behind a broken wall. Inside was a worn-out supply box with medical kits. Cole took out bandages and clean water. Carefully, he cleaned the boy's face and hands. The boy's skin was pale blue, almost glowing softly in the dark. Cole smiled gently. "You will be okay," he said in his soft voice. "I will keep you safe." The boy's eyes fluttered open slowly. His large, dark eyes looked up at Cole, full of fear and confusion. He did not understand the human's words, but he felt kindness. Cole reached into his pocket and pulled out a small metal toy. It was a simple spinning top. He spun it on the floor. The boy watched, mesmerized. A small smile appeared on his lips. Days passed in the dark tunnels. Cole found water and food from abandoned supplies. He made a fire in the small room to keep the cold away. The boy, whom Cole named Kale, grew stronger every day. Meanwhile, above ground, Virine did not stop grieving. She visited the grave every day, speaking softly to the earth. "Kyle, if you can hear me, please come back." Some in the city whispered about the human who had stayed behind. They said he was brave but foolish. Why would a human risk his life for an alien child? Some thought he had died like the rest. One evening, a scout returned from the ruins with news. "I saw movement near the old city," he told Virine. "A human was carrying something small. I think it was a child." Virine's heart jumped. Hope, long buried, stirred inside her. "Where?" "Show me," she asked quickly. The scout pointed toward the broken city walls. "I am not sure if he is still there, but it was near the tunnels." Virine stood up, wiping her tears. She looked toward the ruined buildings, her eyes shining with new determination. "I will find him," she said. "I will find Kale." That night, Virine could hardly sleep. The pain of loss was still there, but now hope made her heart beat faster. She prayed to the stars above, asking for strength. Far below, Cole sat beside Kale, watching the boy sleep peacefully for the first time in days. The child's breathing was steady, and his cheeks had a healthy color. Cole gently touched Kale's forehead. "You're going to live," he promised. Outside, the wind howled softly, as if the planet itself was listening. The story of a human and an alien child was only just beginning. The morning sun struggled to break through the heavy clouds as Virine stood at the edge of the ruined city. She held a small scanner in her hand, its lights blinking softly. The device was old and worn, but it was the best tool she had to find signs of life. Her heart raced. Could it really be true? Could her son Cale still be alive somewhere beneath the broken buildings? She took a deep breath and stepped carefully onto the cracked pavement. The silence was heavy, broken only by the distant call of birds and the soft crunch of her boots on the rubble. Above her, the sky seemed to watch in quiet judgment, as if waiting for an answer. In the tunnels below, Cole was awake. He sat beside Cale, who was now sitting up with wide eyes, curious about the strange human who cared for him. Cale's small fingers reached out to touch Cole's hand, and Cole smiled. "Good morning," Cole said softly. Cale did not speak the human language, but he nodded in response. Days had passed since Cole found Cale. The boy was growing stronger, but he still did not understand much about this strange human, or the strange world they lived on. Cole knew it was time to try to teach Cale some things. He took out a small book from his pack, pictures and simple words. He pointed to an image of a tree and said, "Tree." Kyle looked closely and repeated a sound that sounded like tree. It was a small victory. Cole tried to explain that they needed to find Cale's family. But without a shared language, it was hard. Meanwhile, above ground, Vereen moved through the ruins, following the scout's directions. She searched every corner, every broken hallway, calling out softly, "Kyle. Cale." Her voice echoed through the empty spaces. Some neighbors watched her, their faces filled with doubt. "Why waste time?" one said. "The child is gone. The human probably died long ago." But Vereen would not give up. The hope that had sparked inside her was too strong. She found small signs, a broken toy, footprints too small to be hers or any adult's. These clues made her heart beat faster. She was close. Back in the tunnels, Cole prepared a small meal for Kyle. The boy's stomach growled, and Cole laughed quietly. "Hungry?" he asked. Kyle nodded, eyes shining. The two shared the food. Strange and simple, but enough to keep them going. Cole looked at the boy and thought about what the future might hold. This planet was still dangerous. The enemy's machines could still be active anywhere. The city above was a shell of what it had been. But Cole promised himself one thing. He would get Cale to safety, no matter what. One night, as they rested, in the bunker, Cole heard faint sounds. Footsteps? Voices? He grabbed a small light and peered outside. Shadows moved in the distance. "Stay here," he whispered to Cale. Cole stepped out quietly, heart pounding. The voices grew louder. He recognized the language, and it was his own other humans. Relief flooded through him. Rescue was near. Cole waved and called out. The humans noticed and hurried toward him. "Cole, we thought you were dead," one said, astonished. Cole smiled but shook his head. "I'm not leaving this boy behind." The team saw Cale and immediately understood. "We'll take you both home," their leader said. Meanwhile, above the city, Vereen's scanner beeped suddenly. A life sign. It was faint but real. She dropped to her knees, tears flowing freely. "Cale, I'm coming." She raced toward the source, her legs burning but her spirit strong. Cole and the rescue team moved toward the surface. The tunnels were tight and dangerous, but hope pushed them forward. As they climbed out of the darkness, the cold air hit their faces. The sky above was the same dark gray, but it felt different, lighter, as if the world was waking up. Vereen saw the group approaching from a distance. She ran toward them, shouting her son's name. Cale's eyes lit up as he saw the woman running to him. "Mother," he cried, reaching out. Vereen caught him in her arms, holding him tightly. Her sobs were tears of joy. Cole watched quietly from a distance, feeling the warmth of the reunion. The humans and aliens stood together in silence, a new bond forming between them. Vereen turned to Cole. "Thank you," she said simply. Cole nodded. "We are stronger together." The city around them was broken, but in that moment something was whole again. The sun was low in the sky. casting long shadows over the ruined city. Vireen held her son Kale close, feeling his small heart beating fast against her chest. Though safe for now, the journey ahead was still dangerous. They needed to return to the city center, where the rest of their people had gathered. Cole walked beside them, scanning the area carefully. He had helped many through war zones before, but this planet's ruins were the most difficult he had ever seen. Collapsed buildings, twisted metal, and broken roads made every step uncertain. "We must move quickly," Cole said quietly. "Night will come soon and it gets cold. The enemy patrols might still be active." Vireen nodded. She was grateful for Cole's protection, but her heart was heavy. How could she trust a human? Humans had come to their planet as soldiers. Many had died because of the war. Yet here was one who had saved her son. Kale looked up at Cole with wide eyes. Though he was still young, the boy had already learned to trust this strange human. They moved slowly through the rubble. At times, they had to climb over fallen walls or crawl through narrow gaps. Kyle held tightly to his mother's hand, but when he felt tired, Cole lifted him onto his shoulders. As they walked, the wind whispered through broken windows, carrying memories of a happier time. Vireen's mind was filled with questions. What kind of future could her son have on this planet? Could she ever forgive the humans for the pain the war had caused? Suddenly, a sharp noise cut through the silence. It sounded like metal scraping on stone. Cole raised a hand to stop. His eyes scanned the shadows. "Stay close," he said. "We are not alone." Vireen's breath caught in her throat. Her grip on Kale tightened. From the darkness, small drones appeared, hovering low and scanning the area with blinking red lights. These patrol machines were leftovers from the enemy's forces, programmed to attack any living thing. Cole stepped in front of Vireen and Kale, raising his hand. He pulled a small device from his belt, a jammer that could block the drone's sensors for a short time. He activated it. The drones suddenly stopped moving. Their lights flickered and then went dark. They drifted to the ground and powered off. "Move now," Cole whispered urgently. They ran as fast as they could, jumping over debris and ducking under low beams. Kale giggled when Cole lifted him higher to clear a large wall. When they reached a safer spot, Vireen let out a deep breath. "That was too close," she said. Cole nodded. "The war may be over, but danger is still here. We must be careful." They continued their journey through the broken streets. At one point, Vireen spotted a group of survivors huddled near a makeshift campfire. She called out softly, "Friends!" The group looked up, surprised but hopeful. "Vireen?" one man asked. "Is that you?" "Yes," she replied, holding Kale tighter. "He is alive. My son." Tears of relief and joy spread among the people. They rushed to welcome her and Kale. Children ran to see their new friend. Cole smiled at the sight. This was why he risked everything, to bring hope back to those who had lost so much. But their rest was short. Night was falling quickly. Cole checked his watch. "We must reach the city center before dark. The paths will be harder to see and more dangers come out at night." Vireen looked at the darkening sky. The sun dipped below the ruined buildings and cold settled over the land. They set off again, moving faster now. The city center was a shadow of its former self. What once was a bustling place of life was now a gathering of tents, fires, and cautious faces. Leaders and survivors had worked hard to build a community, but fear and sadness hung in the air. When they arrived, Vireen was greeted with tears and hugs. Kale was held high and praised as a miracle. Cole stood quietly to the side. The people's eyes studied him, some with gratitude, others with suspicion. A leader approached him, a tall woman with silver hair and sharp eyes. "You saved our child," she said. "For that, we thank you. But why did you stay behind? Why risk yourself for us?" Cole looked at Vireen and Kale, then back at the leader. "Because no one should be left behind," he said simply. The leader nodded slowly. "Humans are not always like you. We have seen war bring much pain." "I understand," Cole replied. but I believe we can be better. Vereen stepped forward. Cole is not just a human soldier. He is my son's savior. I trust him. The crowd murmured, a mix of surprise and hope. That night, as fires burned and people shared stories, Vereen sat beside Cole. "Thank you," she said softly. "You gave me back my son. I will never forget that." Cole smiled. "It is not just me. It is what all humans can be. We have much to learn from each other." Kyle, now tired from the day's journey, slept peacefully in Vereen's arms. Outside, the stars began to shine through the clouds as if watching over the fragile new bond between humans and aliens. The morning light spilled gently over the camp, warming the small tents and the people who slowly awoke from a restless night. Vereen sat by the fire, her arms wrapped tightly around Kyle. She watched the boy's soft breathing, a smile of relief, touching her lips. After so long, he was finally safe. But the memory of the pain she felt before still lingered deep inside her. Cole stood nearby, looking out over the camp. His face showed signs of exhaustion, but his eyes were steady and calm. He had done what he came to do, save a life, but now he felt something new, something he hadn't expected, a deep connection to this strange new world and its people. The camp began to stir. Children ran about, laughing and playing while adults talked quietly in small groups. The tension from the war was still there, but hope was slowly growing. Everyone had heard the story, the human who saved the alien child, and it spread like fire through the camp. Vereen's heart felt full when she saw Kale reach out for Cole's hand and walk with him toward a group of children. The boys' laughter was a sound she thought she would never hear again. As the day passed, the camp leaders called for a meeting. Vereen and Cole joined the circle, surrounded by the elders and survivors who had rebuilt their lives from the ashes. The leader, with silver hair named Saran, spoke first. "Cole, you risked your life for this child. You showed great courage and kindness. Our people owe you a debt." Cole shook his head. "I did what anyone should do. No one should be left behind." Another elder, an older man with kind eyes, asked, "What will happen now? Can we trust humans after all the pain?" Cole looked around the circle. "Trust is earned, not given. I am here to help build that trust." Vereen added, "He saved my son. That means more than words." The group nodded slowly. The walls between humans and aliens began to fall, brick by brick. Later, as the sun began to set, Vereen found a quiet moment with Cole. The camp was calm, the stars shining brightly above. "You didn't have to save Kale," she said softly. "Many humans left us to die." Cole met her eyes. "Maybe some did, but not me. And I hope many more will follow." Vereen smiled, feeling a new strength inside her. "You gave me hope. You gave us hope." That night, a soft breeze carried the sounds of the camp, gentle voices, laughter, and the crackle of fires. Kyle slept peacefully, safe at last. The morning sun rose slowly over the camp, casting warm light on the faces of the survivors. The air was fresh with hope and change. Vereen stood at the edge of the gathering, her eyes shining as she watched her son Kyle play among the children. For the first time in a long while, she felt peace in her heart. Cole sat nearby, watching the scene quietly. The boy's laughter was like music, a sign of new life and new beginnings. Cole had never imagined that saving one small child could change so much. News of Kale's rescue had spread beyond the camp. Leaders from nearby settlements and even human commanders came to see the boy and meet the man who had saved him. Many were surprised to see a human and alien standing together, united by trust and respect. One day, Saren, the silver-haired leader, approached Cole with a serious look. "Our people have built a monument for those lost in the war. Would you join us in placing a stone for Kale's safe return?" Cole nodded. "I would be honored." The monument was simple but powerful. A large stone stood tall, carved with images of hope, strength, and unity. Beneath it was a plaque that read, "He carried life through death's shadow so others may live." At the ceremony, Vereen placed Kale's toy, the blue sphere, at the base of the stone. Tears filled her eyes, but they were tears of joy. She looked at Cole and said, "You didn't just save my son, you saved our future." Cole smiled. "We saved each other." In the weeks that followed, the camp grew stronger. Humans and aliens worked side by side, rebuilding homes, planting gardens, and sharing stories. Old fears faded, replaced by new friendships. Vereen often invited Cole and his team to her tent for meals. They shared food, laughter, and dreams for a better tomorrow. Kyle learned both human and alien words, his small mind bright and eager. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Cole and Vereen sat together, watching the stars appear. "Dao, you think peace will last?" Vereen asked quietly. Cole looked up. "It depends on us, on how we choose to live and care for each other." Vereen nodded. "I want to believe that, for Kale's sake and for all of us." Cole reached out and took her hand. "We are stronger together." As the stars shone overhead, the camp below was filled with light. A light born not from fire or machines, but from hope, courage, and the bonds that had formed between worlds. The story of a human and an alien child had become the story of many, a story of healing, trust, and a future where all could live in peace.